Ross.
What are the Mariners going to do now? We wanted to move the conversation forward. Earlier to start the show, Bump and I talked about the latest from MLB's winter meetings, that being Scott Service saying, hey, look, our hands are tied, and about as close as he can get to saying we don't have as much money as we thought we would to spend. So where do the Mariners go from here? We kind of wanted to move the conversation forward. Bump, we can go any which way. We can talk about, why this is happening, kind of continue to round out that conversation. We can talk about what you would do if you were Jerry Dipoto, whether you, knowing now this information you have today, whether the trade that we saw Sunday night makes more sense to you. Any which way you want to take it. I've got some sound to back you up.
How about you give me some sound first?
Okay.
And then I'll go after that.
Okay. Let's go with Divish talking about how Service and Dipoto might be feeling right now.
All right.
You can tell like there's a level of frustration because I don't think that they thought they were going to have to do this, and this has happened to them before. A year ago, they thought they were going to have a bigger budget. They didn't get it. The year before that, they thought they'd have more money, and they didn't get it. So it's not like they're not used to it. Maybe I don't know if it's frustration or anger, but just kind of like, it's just the acceptance of this is how it's always going to be. So this is what we're going to have to do. Dipoto, I do think Dipoto seems a little weary. The comments he made at the end just have continue to carry over and they become national, and he's just not getting away from it. And I think too, like if you're the architect of the team and you're thinking you're going to go in and have some money and you're going to be able to do stuff, and then at the last minute, midway into a few weeks into the offseason, you find out, oh, maybe not. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to adjust. That's not a fun way to live either.
What are you thinking after that?
I'm thinking that Jerry's on plan B. He's on plan B right now. Might be on plan C at this point. Because you're sitting there, you're going into the offseason, you're saying, all right, man, big offseason for us. Right? We missed the playoffs by a game. We have to make some room to acquire some guys. Maybe we're going after Cody Bellinger, right? Oh, man, 26 bombs, only 87 Ks. That's controlling the zone, right? You're getting rid of what did our guys had, over 120-something Ks or something like that, I think, our top guys. And you're thinking, all right, maybe we can make a run at Bellinger without having to get rid of too many pieces. And then he goes, oh, we don't have enough for Bellinger. Man, we got to get rid of Gino, maybe JK as well, try to get some prospects so we can leverage that in the deal or whatnot. So I think that, things change. I think that they looked at their balance and said, okay, there's less in here that we thought. Now we really got to make something out of nothing, which puts them in a bad position because Dipoto's going to get the wrath of the people. People mention Stanton. We look at our text lines. They mention them, right? But when it's all said and done, people are going after Dipoto. So I kind of feel bad for him in this situation. I'm like, man, dude, I know what it's like working with a budget. I know what it's like only having $10 and that costs $11 where I'm going to get that extra dollar from. That's what I think he feels like right now. They're on plan B or C at this point.
I heard this cut. Again, this entire interview with Ryan is from Wyman and Bob. I heard this cut and got angry.
Yeah, and this is their window, too. Think about this. Like, their rotation that they have, Castillo, Gilbert, Kirby, Wu, and Miller that they have now. They throw in Robbie Ray on the back end, like when he gets healthy. But those young kids have been healthy. Like, they have not had extended time away. You have them all together. You have them all healthy. You have them pitching at peak performance time. How long is that going to last for? 2-3 years, maybe? Logan's going to get real expensive here in the next year or two. And if they don't start to win or generate more revenues, and, you look at Logan getting expensive, Cal getting expensive, they're going to trade them because they won't be able to pay them, and arbitration will cost them too much money.
This makes me angry for two reasons. Number one, my answer to where do the Mariners go from here would normally be, okay, we'll try to build in-house. You know what I mean? Go with young, cheap talent, draft and develop, and just try to win and improve with leaning heavily on the pieces you have.
Right.
But that answer becomes not feasible when suddenly you don't want to pay those pieces either. And so what you want to do is win with cheap talent, whether or not it's good or not. The second reason it makes me angry is from an emotional, regional reason. Nothing to do with team building and everything to do with spending my life here, seeing friends grow up here who went 20 years seeing this team not get to the playoffs, saw them go to the playoffs, and then saw what looked like this really exciting, most exciting team in 20 years window close quickly because of a team that doesn't want to take risks and spend money. And that makes me angry.
Yeah, there's a disconnect, man. Divish says, like, the window is now. And all you Mariner fans for the last 20, 30, 40 years, how many windows have you really had?
Right?
This is maybe the second one in 20 years, right? Would you say?
This is my first. This is my first time. 1995. Curtis and I were little kids. This is my first time that I watched a playoff game.
Exactly. So if the window is now, and so let me go back to my point. There's a disconnect between ownership and management because Divish, he's around the team all day. Information for days with this team. He's saying the window is right now, and they're not willing, at least as of now, as of today, they're not willing to make the moves to jump through that window.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's concerning is because the moves that they're making are saying, all right, maybe we will jump through that window, but then we listen to the sound. The sound is everything. Yesterday, we didn't have the sound. We're on the show. So we're sitting there and we're saying, all right, man, well, they're setting this move up for a big one, right? Because, why would you be clearing all this space? And now we're listening to them and we're saying, and we're hearing that they don't have the money that we think that they have, or they're not able to spend it because of ownership. So I think I think Jerry and Service have to be frustrated right now because they realize there's a window. They realize what they have. They realize what they just gave up, and they got worse. They got exponentially worse. And for you to get back to even where you were last year, you got to go spend some money. And I'm saying, well, you just cleared all this payroll. You're going to pay $22 million for Bellinger. You're going to pay, this is not much for Rosario if you go after Rosario, $6 million for Rosario. I don't see where things balance out right now. You get rid of money, but you want to be competitive. You're going to have to pay a superstar $20 million a year.
Yep.
So what are you saving, $13 million in 2025?
Ultimately, the only route to add to fill the holes you need is adding middling talent. Either you add a superstar and you have huge question marks or holes at certain parts of your roster, or you fill it with a bunch of utility guys and platoon guys and former veterans that are looking for a second chance, and maybe some prospects that have made it to the big leagues and haven't met expectations, and so they cost little in trade. Those are the pieces Seattle is going to have to turn to. And that does not make a fan base that has desperately been waiting to see their team, the only team not to make it to a World Series, desperately waiting to see their team be successful. That does not make that fan base happy for good reason. And that fan base deserves to have those expectations not even met. No one deserves a World Series. What you deserve as fans and what you deserve as players who go day in and day out to sacrifice for this team, and as fans who go day in and day out paying to see this team, what you deserve as people is for someone to try, for someone to meet you halfway, for someone to respect the effort that you're giving to love this team. And that's to answer the question of where the Mariners go from here. I entered this conversation thinking, okay, well, what about some specific names that they can look at that are a little cheaper? And I'm leaving the conversation thinking where the Mariners go from here is to try. And I'm looking all the way at the top for that.